Welcome to the InVite Health podcast, where our degreed healthcare professionals are excited to offer you the most important health and wellness information you need to make informed choices about your health. You can learn more about the products discussed in each of these episodes and all that InVite Health has to offer at www.invitehealth.com/podcast. First-time customers can use promo code podcast at checkout for an additional 15% off your first purchase. Let's get started.
I often try to make the point or stress the point that finding the root cause of why something has gone awry in the body is more important than just trying to treat symptoms. And I always say that's kind of like putting a Band-Aid on something. You always want to find the root cause so then you can make more specific corrections, whether that's lifestyle modifications when it comes to diet, exercise, or even the different nutrients or vitamins, minerals that you are taking on a daily basis. Now that we know so much more about the human genome, it is really quite relevant to really understand what is going on within that genetic level, because if we can see a predisposition to a particular risk, then we can do a lot more now in terms of those lifestyle modifications and making sure that we can bypass some of those issues. Now, clearly with our genes, we can't go in and tweak the genes and change our genes, but we can do many different things that help to mitigate the negative impact that a problem gene could potentially present in our daily life. So whether it is, we have a bad gene that puts us at a greater risk for heart disease, we can now make those different lifestyle modifications to try to lower that risk in spite of having that genetic variant. So today I want to talk a little bit about our genetic testing that we offer at InVite Health, because we do get many questions in regards to this, such as, what is this genetic testing all about? Is this the same as, some of the things that they have for, trying to figure out, where I'm from, am I predominantly, of European descent, whatever be the case. This is much different. This is actual genetic health testing. So we're looking for specific SNPs, and I'll get into that, what that actually means, to assess your level of risk for a potential health problem, either currently that you're experiencing right now or something that in the future could become a problem for you. So I want to talk about that today. I am Amanda Williams, MD, MPH, and let's get right to it. We offer genetic testing at InVite Health, and it's incredibly easy process to do. We've actually partnered up with a widely regarded lab out in Oregon, and through our work with them, we have simplified this process. So it's incredibly accurate, and the results that you get from this very simple and painless process can really yield you so much insight as to what's actually going on in your body at that genetic level. So it's a cotton tip swab, and you just rub it gently inside of your cheek. So there's no needles, there's no blood. And then you send it off to our lab in Oregon, and they process that. And then we get those results. And then I actually go through and analyze where those genetic variants, we used to call them a mutation, but we'll just call them a variant now. So I analyze where those genetic variants are, and then I assess what your risk is if you do happen to have these variants, and then what you can be doing in terms of those lifestyle modifications. And I can talk with you in regards to dietary changes, what supplements could potentially be beneficial as part of your daily routine. So it's a very, very simple process, and we do analyze many different areas for overall health. So when we look at the way that the body detoxifies, when we look at the way that your body absorbs minerals and vitamins, when we look at, for example, your risk for Alzheimer's disease or heart disease. So we have a lot of different ways in which we can give you a more detailed outlook of current risk, potential risk, and future risk. So what exactly is the genetic testing made up of? So basically what we know is, our bodies hold trillions of cells, and they have these instructions that are personalized to you specifically, and that is via your DNA. So the deoxyribonucleic acid. The DNA in each cell is arranged into these pairs of chromosomes. So we have 23 pairs of chromosomes that are arranged into these short segments of DNA, hence our genes. So these genes proceed to basically dictate what processes occur within those individual cells. Eventually, what this does is it builds up every part of your body, helping it to continue to function properly. So if we have a gene that's not dictating properly, not sending that right message, then this is when our health can start to see the negative effect of that. So the way that we look at this when you do that simple cheek swab, so it's that cotton tipped, it's like a large Q-tip, and when we just swab inside of your cheek. Now you can purchase the test kit from us. You can go home to the comfort of your own house, go ahead, do your cheek swab, put it into the test kit, put it into the envelope, send it off. There's no cost in terms of that. It's all prepaid in terms for the overnight shipping off to the lab in Oregon. So it's a very, very simple process. And we usually get the results back in roughly 5 to 10 days once they have received your sample. So it's looking at SNPs, which is SNPs. And what SNPs are is they are known as single nucleotide polymorphisms. And the SNPs occur when cells divide into two. So your cell goes through this cellular division and it makes new cells, but if it's not properly copying its DNA, then the new cell is basically left with kind of like an empty shell. It doesn't have its instructions. It's like, I'm not exactly sure what I'm supposed to do. So what we're looking for is these different shifts or these genetic variants or mutations. And the reason why we do this is because the SNPs are the most accurate way to see what's happening on that genetic or cellular level. We know through the Human Genome Project and through so much scientific research, the scientific community has really honed in on SNPs in particular, and recognizing that these specific SNPs really do gain us so much insight into what is actually going on. And like I said, while we cannot change the gene defect itself, we can certainly make many different changes to our lifestyle to make sure that problem gene is not going to be problematic moving forward. So when it comes to the different things that we test at InVite Health, I'll just kind of give you a quick overview of that. And we have a whole variety of things. We have things to look at your mood and energy. So if there are ways in which your neurotransmitters are not properly working, or the way that your body is detoxifying, for example, we can assess that. We can look at a whole panel for cardiovascular risk, the way that your body is processing your cholesterol, for example, looking at the way that nitric oxide is released in the body. And if we see that there's a defect in that, that may mean that you are at a greater risk for things like hypertension and atherosclerosis. So the more that we know about what's happening at that cellular genetic level, if we know that that cell is missing that component, it doesn't have the ability to dictate out the instructions, then we can try to kind of go around that and make sure that we are getting in the right nutrients and doing the right things in our everyday life to make sure that that does not become a problem moving forward. Now, we also have ways to look at specific gene variants that maybe predispose you to having problems with maintaining healthy weight. For many people, they've tried every fad diet, they've tried different exercise programs, and they're still struggling to lose weight. If we can see that there are different gene mutations that are leading you to that point where you're having a hard time when it comes to maintaining healthy weight, then we can make sure that we have you on the right diet and the right supplements to skirt around those gene variants. So a lot of different things that we can look at. We can look at the way that your bones could potentially lead to a greater risk of osteopenia or osteoporosis if we're not having proper vitamin D absorption. So we can look at the genes responsible for bone health. We can look at different nutritional deficiencies in iron and B12, vitamin A, vitamin D. We have so many different ways that we can assess your overall risk for certain conditions, as well as if you do have these gene variants, how can we go about helping you help yourself with those? So I would say getting to that root cause is always the best idea, and it allows us to have the best plan moving forward. We have our cellular aging test, which is really quite cool. It lets you know how your telomeres, those are the end caps of those chromosomes. So we're looking at that genetic layer. And if the telomeres are shortening too fast, we know that that is indicative of a shorter lifespan. So we can look at your chronological age and we can look at the length of those telomeres and see, are you aging appropriately? So these are all the different tests that we offer. We have rheumatoid arthritis screening for celiac testing as well. And so just because you have a gene variant does not mean that you are going to have that particular health problem or that disease, but it does let us know that perhaps the information that your cells are providing are inadequate. And if we know that we have inadequate information, then we want to make sure that we are doing the right thing to avoid further insult to injury. Let's put it that way. So it's a really easy process. You can go into one of our retail locations, you can call us, you can order it online. You just simply order the test. We send you out the kit. If you go into one of the retail locations, they'll provide you with the kit. You can go home, do that simple cheek swab. You send it in with that prepaid envelope, and about 5 to 7 days later, you will hear back from me with a breakdown of what your results are. So it's a very seamless process, very easy process, but yet can give you so much information as to what may be contributing to future health issues and what you can be doing to make sure that you can mitigate or offset that. And that is all that I have for you for today. I want to thank you so much for tuning into the InVite Health podcast. Remember, you can find all of our episodes for free wherever you listen to podcasts or by visiting invitehealth.com/podcast. Do make sure that you subscribe and you leave us a review. You can follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at InVite Health. And we will see you next time for another episode of the InVite Health podcast.